When I look at the news and I see reports about crumbling communities like Popo Molefe, I have to ask myself, perhaps it's time black people admit something to themselves. It's something that you see all over the world. It's something that you see in Africa, definitely for sure. And it's something that we see in South Africa on a daily basis. You can call it service delivery. You can call it crumbling communities. You can call it informal settlements. What I see are disorganized, fractured people who cannot build.
The community of Popo Molefe informal settlement in the northwest are speaking out in desperation over their inhumane living conditions. They have to access water from under a bridge and have also been forced to use illegally connected electricity for more than a decade, as they do not have access to basic services.
And you know what? Perhaps it's time to admit that when you look at communities predominantly run by black people, there is a constant and utter decay happening where people seem unable to come together to organize and build an actual community. All you see every single day when the news comes on are crumbling communities, disorganized communities with the same problems that linger for years. And it's time to face the truth, I think. And this truth is unpleasant and uncomfortable. However, you can't look around and look at the numbers and think that this is not actually happening. Communities, predominantly run by black people, falling apart shows us that perhaps we have to consider the possibility that black groupings are not that good at building communities, especially in a thriving and modern world. And this is what we see in South Africa today, and unfortunately, this uncomfortable truth has to be faced, because if you see another report about how this community doesn't have this, can't do that, children are walking for kilometers to schools, there's a river that's been flowing there for years and it keeps hurting children, and many children have drowned, but no one is fixing it. No one is able to put up a bridge or find another way around it, where people are getting water out of dirty, filthy, polluted streams, and no one is doing something about it, and all you see are reports with fat women. Perhaps you have to ask yourself, is this society working, and are these people able to build a society?
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
It's not like they're facing problems that have never been resolved, that are completely new. It's not like the problems are new to that community. These problems, whether you look at this Popo Molefe community, Hammanskraal, or any community all over this country, you see chronic, debilitating problems that last for years, with dirty roads, with uneven roads, with street lights that don't work, with potholes that are gigantic, with pipes that are overflowing on the street, with sewage filling the streets, dusty roads, whether that was in apartheid or after it. And there are thousands of people living in these communities. Some of them have lived there for years and have faced these problems for years. And you have to ask yourself, the people that live there, is there no way they could organize and try figure things out for themselves, to try and build and order their community themselves, to clean this filthy place up?
Ha re sebetse mo Popo Molefe, bana ba rona ba ya dikolong ka maoto, ha re na metsi, re kgogetse motlakase, which is wa sokodisa re gogile in a neighborhood. Le bone batho ba complain gore re kgogetse motlakase wa bone wa imela, which is re tlhaloganya, but because of le rona re tlhoka motlakase as a basic need, o kreya re sna gore re ka reng re tshwantse re o tse ka force motlakase because of le rona ra o tlhoka.
Why do you never see that? Why can no one? I mean, I've seen many plumbers who are black, many people who could fix all sorts of things and are black. Some of them were drunk while doing it. However, why can't they organize themselves, use their particular talents, where there's this one with plumbing, this one with building, this other one with this. Someone's talent might be just to go around organizing people. Why can't they do that like any other society, any other community, any other people group? Why can't they muster themselves up? Why can't they get themselves together and get organized and fix what's happening, whether it be an informal settlement, a township, or whatever else kind of community? Why can't these communities be thriving? Leave the government aside. There are thousands of people with brains and hands and abilities right in those communities, and a little bit of money as well, especially if they pool that money together. Why is AfriForum able to do it and these people can't do it? And there are far more of these black people.
Mo Popomolefe ga go monate re phela bokete a ka re ga re baagi ba South Africa ka re ga ra vote the way re phelang ka teng ga rena metsi ga rena motlakase ditirelo di tlile tsona batho gona no go ema a re itse re go etsagala le mphakata o itse re go etsagala go na le misima e epilweng ga re itse re misima e epilwe ga ya krumetswa dipula ke tsa dieta project se ntse etla e epile mosima go eme ga re bolele sepe le no re tshogile pule ka nna yana misime fa le metsi a ka nna tlala ka fala a bola bana ba rona. And I know one thing for sure, ga ngwana se na tlhokofala fala ba tlo re sorry tane bophelo ba ngwana bo ka se boele morago.
Why can't these communities get clean, stay clean, be organized, maintained and safe? Is the white man oppressing you when the government is black and there's no white person in sight and it's just you on that land, occupying, running it every single day, living there for years, raising your children and your grandchildren on social grants? Why can't you get yourself together and fix the overflowing water and everything else, or find a plan, or mobilize and organize and find your own solutions? Why can't you fix your own housing? Why can't you fix your own crime? Why can't you order your own communities? Why do they never improve when you've been living there for years? A reminder that you can get a digital comic book emailed to you every single month when you become a member on our Buy Me a Coffee page. Perhaps it's time to face the fact that maybe black groupings aren't very good at building modern societies, because what is a squatter camp or an informal settlement? Is it not just a giant modern village, and not even a good village at that? There are villages in this world that are beautiful and wonderful places to live, where sewage doesn't fill the streets.
Emotional, damn it!
The amount of problems in these communities and how long they linger shows us this, that perhaps these people aren't up to the job, perhaps they can't do this, perhaps they need help, and therein lies the crux, right? Because that's what freedom is. Freedom is being responsible for yourself, is taking up for yourself, is finding ways to organize yourselves, and if you can't do that, you're failing. Why can't these problems be fixed? Because you have to look at it and say, perhaps these people aren't up to the job of fixing these problems. Perhaps they just can't do it. Why are the streets so filthy and it feels like no one sees it? A person may be wearing 1,000 rand pair of shoes, 5,000 rand pair of shoes, polished, gleaming in the sun, walking on a dirty, dusty, littered, sewage-ridden street. And it's been like that for 6 to 60 years.
Well, I think South Africa is a movie. We live in a drama. It's a series. Every day you will be shocked by something new. We have even forgotten what shocked us 2 weeks ago. You know, every day.
Government aside, why don't you see it? You're the one that lives there. Government aside, Cyril Ramaphosa lives behind a very high wall with lots of security and the best amenities and backup amenities at that. You think his power ever goes off? If it does, he has a battery, he has a generator, and he has probably a person on a bicycle pedaling to keep the light bulbs on. You don't have that. Why can't you figure it out? Why can't your community figure things out? There are thousands of you, but the problems linger, and perhaps the true answer is you can't build great societies and you can't fix it. This is the question we have to ask of the black communities in South Africa. Yes, all over the world and in Africa, but I'm not talking about those right now. The South African ones with their lingering chronic service delivery problems. Why can't these people figure things out themselves? Why can't they fix some of the things and organize their community into an effective and efficient place themselves? We now have a course on Teachable. It's for boys between the ages of 10 and 18, about 12 men from the Bible, where we teach about manhood, masculinity, and becoming a man. Check it out. Why does it always take the intervention of government or the intervention of some charity, some NGO, some non-governmental organization? Or wait for it. some white person. Perhaps you're not very good at building societies, and you have to ask why. And you have to ask, can the next generation do that? Is there a generation that's going to come and finally do that? Because if you don't, you will always be the dregs and the ghetto of the world and of life.
Me personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
Just like in every report, this Popo Molefe report is filled with women. And therein lies the problem, I would say. A society ruled and headed up by bossy, loudmouth, arrogant, masculine women will not succeed. You will not build. Women do not build societies. And if you doubt that, name one. If your families are crumbling and they're led by women, you will not build a society. You will have sewage flowing in the street with disposable nappies littering the streets and no one picking it up. It is the men that have to stand up and muster this community and organize it and get it right, because no one else will. Get those women off the camera. What are they even talking about? Because all they're going to do is talk. They're waiting for daddy government and sugar daddy white man with the NGO to come in and fix things. They do not fix anything, and if the men don't fix it, it will be a giant squatter camp, a giant informal settlement, a giant decrepit modern village. And on top of that, you have these filthy illegals coming in with their filthy habits from their filthy countries, taking over what is South African land and South African resources. Now you're compounding the problem of inefficient, disorganized, decrepit, decaying communities, and you're bringing in people with even worse habits from worse countries to do what exactly? And they're living off the South African taxpayer. Build your own communities or fail. Do not pretend that the white man still has his boot on your neck, because the government is black, you are black, and you've been living there for years now. My friend, I have come to realize that the most successful people groups have a very distinct element about them. That history points out a very specific thing. History is the story of the most organized and efficient people ruling, dominating, and overcoming lesser organized and efficient people.
What do you mean by that?
History is the story of the more organized and efficient people group, individually and as a group, taking over, ruling, and taking charge of less organized and less efficient groups. That is what I have seen in history, and that is what I am seeing now. Black people need to get organized and far more efficient if they have any chance of building modern societies of any reputation and of any prosperity. If they carry on like this, they will be crying forever, drinking from dirty streams, killing themselves with this polluted water, living in houses with no electricity, ramshackled, broken down, dusty roads, not a tree in sight, and then wanting someone to feel sorry for them. No one cares anymore. Are you a people of some fortitude? Are you a people of some respect? Get organized and lift yourself up. Stop waiting for someone else to do it, while at the same time decrying them as horrible racists that won't give you boerewors rolls outside a food lovers market, or won't do this or won't do that for you, and are racist and don't respect you, and oh, it's also white monopoly capital.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Why can't you organize yourself? Why can't you be efficient? Why can't you build? Ask yourself that. Why the people of Popo Molefe or any other community have not been able to organize themselves and build an organized, ordered, safe, clean, and prospering society and community. Perhaps it's on them as well. In conclusion, history is the story of the most organized and efficient people groups ruling over lesser organized and less efficient people groups. A saying, there is no work, however vile or sordid, that does not glisten before God. John Calvin. I recommend black people wise up and stop blaming the white man or looking at who didn't do what and who is racist. All of those things, while being filled with truths, are not going to help you get organized and get efficient. The next generation, especially from the older millennials onwards of black people in South Africa, have to get serious about building an organized and efficient grouping of people who can be successful at building a modern society and modern communities that can compete on a geopolitical level. If you can't do that, you will fail. And you will be living in the ghettos of the world as serfs, as dusties, and as broke people living in your own filth, disrespected all over the world, because when people look at you, they cannot take you seriously. And the racist thing is not going to fly. It's already on its way out and has been on its way out for a while now. No one cares about that anymore. Are you a serious people, or are you losers who live in filth and cannot do for yourselves and need someone else to do for you? The case is closed, my friends. Build or watch the next 350 years be just the same as the past 350 years. Let me know what you think. Thank you for listening, and if you dare, buy us a coffee.